Good afternoon. First, I want to thank Farmingdale State College for welcoming me back for, feels like my 10th or 20th time, but President John Nader said I've been here many times, and he seems always happy when I show up. There's usually some good news, right? Thank you for accommodating us today, and also our county executive, Steve Ballone, who I'm with every other day. But thank you for your leadership, and we look forward to your remarks to talk about the important convening of individuals that we just held. Also, Commissioner Jackie Bray, our Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, who has become indispensable as part of my team. We had a lot of time together to deal with massive storms during the winter season, and now we're just talking about how to be prepared for what could possibly occur this year. Also, you need to get to know Catherine Garcia, who's an extraordinary public servant who has many years of experience dealing with crises, all levels. She's our state operations director as well. Kevin Thomas and John Brooks from our Senate, thank you for participating in an important conversation on behalf of your constituents. Tom Donnelly joined us as well, our county legislator. Also, representatives from LIPA. We wanted to have you in person here, and also representatives from PCE&G as well, and as well as many state agency members and local emergency personnel. So I thank them for being part of this conversation. I was just here. We just had our inaugural ride on the first section of the our main line third track. I don't think I came here once in the last decade without people saying, when are we getting that done? So a major milestone, and literally in the next month and the month following will be more milestones. So I was just here a short time ago. And I'm also here just to say New Yorkers have been through a lot. Overall, we've battled a lot of climate events, pandemics, and just it's been almost unrelenting. And my number one job as your governor for almost a year now is to protect the well-being, the safety, the health of New Yorkers. And that is why, on an unexpected day for most, a beautiful Friday, on this gorgeous day here not far from our beautiful beaches that we're so proud of, we convened members of a seasoned team of individuals, professionals, and utilities and others, elected officials, before any rain falls, before the forecasts start coming, before we start paying attention to our news flash. We're talking about how we will be prepared to respond to worst-case scenarios when it comes to weather, because it's all about being prepared. Don't take my words for it. Take the words of the author of Poor Richard's Almanac. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail, according to Benjamin Franklin. So we are in traditional hurricane season right now. But historically, the hardest hit storms, and we now have a decade or so of experience, that tend to occur later August, September, October, sometimes November. So Long Islanders know this is a vulnerable time of year, despite the beautiful weather that we're experiencing on this Friday. Superstorm Sandy, a decade ago. We'll be talking about various ways to commemorate that occasion, not in a happy way, but in a way of reflection. And, that took the lives of New Yorkers, 53, including 13 Long Islanders. Families still grieving a decade later, never forgetting. Knocked the power out of over 2 million homes, 1 million on Long Island alone. And the devastation could never be overstated. Homes, lives, livelihoods, businesses destroyed. And so many were forced to evacuate and find that they came back and lost everything. And it was so powerful, this storm, that it literally submerged entire communities in a way that ground Long Island and New York City to a halt. But as is part of our DNA, we fight through it, we persevere, and we recover. And today, we're still rebuilding. We've had an extraordinary amount of projects to deal with building up the resiliency. I've been to Long Island many times to talk about our shoreline resiliency projects. I'm hopeful that we pass a $4.2 billion bond act in the fall, which will give us more money to respond to the effects of climate. Because, as I've said many times, we're the first generation to truly feel the effects of climate change. And we are the last generation to do anything about it. So again, reflecting on the last few years, we've had Tropical Storm Isaias touch down Long Island August 4th. Peak power outages, almost 1 million. 1 New Yorker killed. We've had other storms. Elsa, last July, 35,000 outages, and most recently, Hurricane Ida, that I was literally on the job less than a week for. We had peak power outages of over 52,000, 15,000 homes, and we lost 16 New Yorkers, many of whom were drowned in their homes. And I went to their neighborhoods, not one day, not 2 days, but 3 days, literally in the infancy of my administration. I walked those streets. I saw the effects. I'll never forget the faces of people who just saw everything just washed away. Many of them were immigrants, did not know how they were going to rebuild. I heard the stories of people who literally had to break windows to try and escape the rising water in their homes. It was terrifying. And never again do I ever want to witness the pain that the New Yorkers, our residents, our neighbors had to experience because they could not withstand the record rain that fell from the heavens over that period of time. So as we say here on Long Island, we know what it's all about, and especially our coastal communities that have been pummeled by extreme weather in the past. No part of our state is immune. These so-called 100-year events, just drop that name. It doesn't even work. I was up on Lake Ontario as lieutenant governor talking about floodwaters that were just never-ending. And they said, well, this is a 100-year storm back in 2017. Okay, we're good for now, I said. 2 years later, it was even worse. Same marinas, same homes, same communities flooded out. And I said, they owe us 98 years somewhere. Something bad happened here. So hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, blizzards, everything short of locusts, it keeps happening. And as you saw on the cover of Newsday today, droughts. Why not? And the federal government upgraded the South Shore Long Island's drought status to severe. And recent rains we've had were not enough. They didn't address the dry conditions that have persevered and persisted over this past year. So we are asking Long Islanders to do their part. You've been asked. I'm going to repeat it as your governor, who's concerned about your well-being and the well-being of our local economy and our watershed. Let's reduce the outdoor water use. We can all do this. We all love green grass, but there's always next year. Only water your lawns when really necessary. Reuse water that you can collect in barrels. Raise lawnmower to higher, it doesn't always have to be this short. You can raise up the mower cutting levels as well. And, just simple things like, not having to hose down a sidewalk, use a broom, for God's sakes. You can do this and fix all the leaky pipes. So there's a lot of things you can do as an individual. Collectively, it makes a difference. One person, well, what difference does this make? All your neighbors, all of our communities, we do this, just pull through a short time, and we'll just look back and say, yeah, we got through this, we're okay. We didn't really have to ration water. I mean, if you want to find out how bad it can get, turn on the evening news and look at out west. And it's heartbreaking what they're experiencing. Their water sources drying up, literally lakes that had been feeding the irrigation and the homes out there. They're gone. They're just empty. So we're not in that stage, but let's take some steps. And also, something we've not had to see as much of compared to out west, but that is right now the entire state is in a high risk for fires. Right now, every corner. Hudson Valley actually is at a very high risk, and outdoor fires can spread quickly, especially if the wind picks up. And so we need to be vigilant and attack fires while they're small and be smart about it. We have 6 active fires across the state, actively burning 47 acres. Most of them started by unattended campfires. Now, we all love to camp. I grew up camping, but that's a shame that we lost beautiful land because of people's negligence. So I just paint this picture, not to bring you all down on this day, which I feel like I'm doing, but we are experiencing an unprecedented rise in extreme weather. Statement of fact, period, stop. It's what's going on. And that has real ramifications on people's lives and their livelihoods. So here's what we have to do. We have to get serious about it now, right now, on a day like today. So we're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, but hope isn't a strategy, okay? We have to be ready for everything. And so that responsibility falls on the shoulders of elected officials. We know that. We've worked through this before. Our first responders, our trained professionals, our volunteer and professional firefighters, and everybody else, and also, yes, our utility companies. And that's why today We just left a very serious convening of people. First of all, I wanted to deepen relationships because I know it's important for people. As I mentioned when I walked in the room, I said, when you're in a war, you want to know the people in the foxhole with you. So our administration, still being fairly new, I wanted to see the faces of the people who will be answering those calls, who will be helping direct operations, with the leadership of our local partners here in Nassau County. So we're ready. I just wanted people to have that confidence that we're already talking about what could happen and how we deal with it. And that's why this was so important. Everybody has to work together because we have a public that we all collectively represent that needs to be engaged and informed in a better way than has always happened in the past. And I believe, especially when it comes to our utilities, yes, there's a responsibility to clean up after the storm and bring people to safety and get the medical attention. And that's one of the reasons I'm making sure that our National Guard, New York State National Guard, every one of them will be trained as an EMT, never before. But I said, I need more people who can take care of someone who needs medical attention on the ground. So that is occurring right now. But in addition to that, we take care of people's health, get them out of danger. But if the lights don't come on, the power doesn't come on, life doesn't go on. That's the reality. Now, a few hours of inconvenience, but days turn into nights, turn into weeks, and all of a sudden, we're in a disastrous situation. I'm here to say that can't happen. That can't happen. So it's critical that LIPA and PCE and G deliver for Long Islanders as they do every day. It's their job, they do it every day, but especially in a crisis. And that's why I came here in person to convey that directly and say that I need to know that when a storm hits, that you have the manpower, the woman power to get the job done, to bring the resources, to have a strategy, a game plan. I understand that Mother Nature can just turn on a dime and say, no, I'm going to Rhode Island instead, and I'm going to say good, just like happened this time last year. But I can't always count on that. That's not a strategy. And I need to know that because of now we are experienced. A decade ago, kind of new to New York, dealing with hurricanes. Last year, we had more hurricanes in the entire state of Florida, right here in the state of New York. So we have no excuses. We have the experience, though. We've tested our systems. We know it fails. We know it works. And the earlier we have intelligence about what's actually going to happen is really important. So as part of this leader's background, she's the former chief of staff of the National Weather Service in Washington. I have a strong feeling that she's going to be able to make the phone calls at a time when we're looking for that early intelligence that can help guide the right response to the right place. And but more than that, we have to make sure that we are ready to address anything and that the utilities can bring equipment from other parts of the state. And I don't ever want to be in a situation where I say, we saw this coming, you saw this coming, there were resources left in other parts of the state or in other states that were not needed at the time, and they should have been here sooner. That is a conversation I'm having today on this beautiful day, saying I don't want to have it when the reality possibly hits. I want to be very clear on that. And so we're going to continue communicating regularly with transparency to Long Islanders who need service, will need restoration if this happens. And I've directed the Department of Public Service to watch everybody like a hawk. Okay? They're up for it. They're doing it, right, Gary? Okay, we're on this, okay? Eyes on. Okay. Our vulnerable season is now. There'll come a time you don't have to as much. Okay? Well, then we'll have winter ice storms, but we'll get to that later. We might get a month where you don't have to be on it as much. In fact, just stay on top of it. But because I'm focused on results, okay? I need results, never excuses. Never excuses. Will never be good enough for me. So we demand and deserve a utility system that's responsible, reliable, that information is out there, and that's what we expect. Because I don't expect Mother Nature to wait another century again to unleash her anger on all of us. Don't know what we've done wrong, but it's been rough. It's been rough. So I'm not waiting another day to prepare for our response. So I want to thank everyone who gathered today and came in to have a conversation that was important to have so I can convey my expectations as the governor of the state of New York and to also reassure the public that we have a team that knows how to do this. And we're ready. We're ready on this beautiful day. We'll be ready when the rains start falling, when the winds start swirling. And whatever happens, we've got this. We have to reassure the public that everything has been done, possibly that could be done in advance of a situation that we hope never happens. So with that, I'd like to have Jackie Bray, our Commissioner, Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, give a synopsis of what happened in the conversation that I participated in part of, and also then we'll hear from County Executive Steve Vallone. Thank you.
Well, Governor, thank you. I'm always thrilled to be talking about weather on a day where there isn't weather. It's the way we like to keep it. And, you know, as the governor said, the extreme weather is here and it's not going anywhere. As your Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, it's my #1 job to make sure that the state is prepared, that our locality is prepared, that all of our critical partners are prepared. And that means prepared no matter what comes, even though the weather is getting weirder and more extreme. That really has meant 4 things. The first, and this is what we were talking about today, is that we've had to make significant investments in the resiliency of our communities and of our systems. Billions of dollars over the last 6 years have gone in to strengthen the resiliency of the power grid here in Long Island. It's meant that we need to deepen our partnerships. We talked today about how critical relationships are, how coming out of COVID, people are burnt out, but the relationships are stronger than they've ever been because we've been working not in silos, but as an all-of-government response team. And that when extreme weather hits, we need to take those lessons from that disaster and apply them to our response in new disasters and continue to deepen our relationships. At the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, we've held more coastal storm-related drills and tabletops this year than we ever have before. And that's because we want to make sure, as we're meeting in person for the first time in 3 years, that we all know where those muscles are, know how prepared we need to be, know what to do when we need to respond. The third thing we talked about is that we need to be prepared for different types of extremes. I'm fond of saying that, unfortunately, the weather of tomorrow is no longer the weather of yesterday. That wasn't always true, but it's true today. So we need to imagine more difficult storms, more frequent, more intense storms. No one thought that we would get an inch of rain in an hour in New York City, let alone 3 or 4 inches of rain, let alone 3 or 4 inches of rain repeatedly across the state within a year. And we've seen that. And so we need to expand our imagination for what is possible so that we can prepare. And finally, we need to give all of you, we need to give the public the tools that you need in order for you to respond. That's why we're excited to announce that we are restarting the Citizens Preparedness Corps. These are classes. We've trained over 350,000 New Yorkers since 2014 in order to make them more prepared so that they know not only how to keep themselves safe in a disaster, but how to keep their neighbors and their family safe. We're relaunching those for the first time since COVID in person at the State Fair, and we'll be hosting one here in Suffolk County in the next month. We're really excited to relaunch those. We also want to make sure that folks know 3 really simple things. The first is stay alert. Pay attention to your local officials. Pay attention to your local forecast. The second is have a plan. Don't make a plan when you see a storm coming. Make a plan now on a beautiful day like today. Make sure you've got a go bag. Make sure you've got at least a week worth of medication set aside, enough food and water, not only for you, but also your pets. Make sure that you know your evacuation routes and that you know the type of hazards that could impact you, and then stay informed. Make sure that you've signed up for the type of alerts that you're going to need to get real-time information. You can go to alert.ny.gov to sign up for the state's alerts, and I know that the county has an alert system as well. So we're thrilled to be relaunching the Citizens Preparedness Corps. I'm glad that we've been here today in Suffolk County to talk to stakeholders about how to stay prepared, and we want you to stay safe by staying alert, having a plan, and staying informed. Thank you. County Executive.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, and thank you, Governor, and welcome back once again to Long Island. It is an opportunity I get quite a lot because of the governor's commitment and presence here on the island. And this is an issue that is incredibly important to us as we approach, as the governor mentioned, the 10th anniversary of Superstorm Sandy that absolutely devastated us here. And there's still families that are reeling from the impact of that storm. It was so great. But this was really, really important today, what the governor has done to bring us together. And you do have an outstanding team, Commissioner. Thank you, Catherine Garcia, the members of your team who were here, part of this conversation today. Some of the members of our team, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison, and our FRES Commissioner, Pat Beckley, Dr. Piggott, our Health Commissioner, of course, and you mentioned Tom Donnelly, our legislative, really first responder here is such an important part of our response, and our Chief Deputy, Lisa Black. Also, Sean Fitzgerald, Colonel, 106. We're very fortunate to have the 106th there, National Guard here, and thank you, Governor. You've heard the governor talk about this and the commissioner, the relationships, bringing people together here who are on the ground when crisis hits. Unfortunately, because of the number of extreme weather events that we have experienced, there is a lot of knowledge and experience in this room, but there are always new faces that are coming here. And being able to, after a couple of years of really operating virtually because of the pandemic, to be able to come together and have this conversation face-to-face about our preparedness and about what we need to do to be ready for whatever the next extreme weather event is going to come is critically important. And Governor, I think the governor was very clear in that conversation. I think everybody took this away, that the expectations are high for that response. And that's a good thing. And you know what? We appreciate that. The people here who are skilled in this and experts in this have risen to the occasion. And we will do that again. But it is very important that as we're preparing for that next extreme weather event, that we are in this position to be able to share that knowledge and that information and know in an instant when that crisis is here, who at the state, who we will be calling, who will be contacting, those relationships. They really can make all the difference in the world. So, Governor, I can tell you that that everyone here appreciates what you've done here today, and in advance of this, the trainings that have been taking place, the communications with state officials and state emergency management officials. All of this has been leading us up to this point that we are preparing for the storm, and hopefully we will get through this season, as you say, without anything significant happening, but we're not going to rely on that. We're going to be ready, and if that does happen here, we will be working closely together, and we will be responding appropriately. And people should have great confidence in the work that has happened up to this point, and in the officials that are here working together. So, Governor, thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions from the media on topic first? Yes.
The $4 billion you hope to raise to the bond, how will that be spent? Where can people see that money in their community?
Very directly, it's $4.2 billion, not leaving anything on the table. It has to be passed by the voters, number one. That is why it's important that we talk about this as an environmental issue, number one, how we can rebuild and sustain our vulnerable coastal communities, the shoreline. There's countless ways that we can build that up. We're building on what has happened over the last decade. But also there's a jobs component. We think about one of the reasons I've been here so much on Long Island, announcing the opportunities for there to be unlimited jobs associated with the offshore wind industry. You know, we came here with the Secretary of the Interior and talked about the leasing of the lands off the shores and how we can bring in a whole new industry and create jobs. So part of it is our clean air, clean water, and green jobs initiative. So we have a lot of ways we're looking to spend it. I'm sure you have no trouble spending that money, but it has to be done now. To talk about this now and not get it done for another decade is far too long. We know the urgency, which we all need to approach this. We only have a limited time to try to rebuild back, so when communities are affected by the ravages of climate change, extreme climate circumstances, that we're better prepared. We have a lot more to gain in that and much more to do, but a lot of that money will be spent directly into communities, help them get the offshore resiliency they need, the breakwalls, the barriers, the shoreline, dealing with our wetlands, making sure that they can withstand the onslaught of erosion. So we have a whole strategy behind it, but it's really, of all the places in the state of New York that are going to benefit from this, Long Island is right at the top. This is an area that is battered all too often by extreme weather, and I want to do everything we can as leaders to protect from that happening. All right, well, I think I'll leave.
You mentioned LIPA and PSEG. So are you confident that they're ready to handle the next big storm, or do you still have some concerns, or what are your thoughts on that?
I live with concerns. That is the nature of being governor. You know, I always have this ability to see down the road of things going well, but I have to be always operationalized to be ready to deal with things when they don't. So I was very clear in our expectations. A lot has been done to rebuild the systems and strengthen them, and Commissioner Bray can talk about that. Even computer systems and tabletopping and exercises, they have to be done right. And right now there's testing underway, and I'll have you address this specifically because, you know, this has raised some concern right now. I want to address that, but we have no option. We have to make sure that all systems, technology, computer systems, are ready to be able to handle whatever comes our way. Commissioner Bray.
Yeah, absolutely, Governor. So let me just say from a resiliency standpoint and a preparedness standpoint, billions of dollars have been spent on Long Island to raise lines where we can, you know, to bury lines where we can, to raise lines where LIPA and PSE&G can, to fortify switches and transmission, and so they're in a much better place than they've been in. Obviously, there's been recent reporting about the failure of PSE&G's outage management system during Tropical Storm Isaias, an absolutely unacceptable failure. That system has been replaced by a new system as of this June. Internal PSE&G tests have shown it to withstand the type of load that it would need to manage in the event that a storm like Isaias is repeated or comes again. Independent testing is underway, has been underway. Independently, LIPA's verified about 2/3 of the internal tests, and they're still working to verify that final third. So they will continue to work over the next several weeks to make sure that we can verify the performance of the new system. But it is our expectation that these systems must work during a significant outage.
Actually talking about these testing issues with the storm computer systems, and, you know, is LIPA, you know, fully confident it won't break down the way it did in 2020?
I think in disaster management, fully confident is not a phrase that we ever find ourselves in. It's our job to predict the worst and to prepare for the worst. But all of the resources that we have are directed to making sure that restoration across the state, not just here on Long Island, but of course also on Long Island, is swift. And our Department of Public Service maintains emergency plans, reviews those emergency plans, regulates those emergency plans to make sure that all of our utilities have appropriate mitigation and strategies and technology and personnel in place to handle significant storms. And this year, PSE&G and LIPA have that.
Catherine, you want to add anything to this? Okay. All right, next question.
I have off topic. Do you have any comment or update about the convicted sex offender in the Bronx who attacked a man and then he was let go without any bail?
Yes, that was a horrific situation on all fronts. Our team has been in contact with the Bronx District Attorney's Office to talk about the actual charges that were filed, because under the laws that we've strengthened to support keeping people off the street who are dangerous, we want to make sure that our laws are being properly executed. But I took action in my own hands. I directed the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision to immediately examine whether or not this parole violation occurred. Yes, it did. You could tell it occurred. This was a person on lifetime parole. And as of minutes ago, that person is now in custody. That is at my direction. The people of New York need to know that as their governor, I'll stand up and protect them. And I'm also asking our district attorneys and our judges, once again, to closely examine the laws that were changed and in effect as of May 9th, worked on in a very thoughtful way with Senators Kevin Thomas, Senator John Brooks, and our entire team to make sure that offenses that have been taken out of previous laws, hate crimes, repeat offenders, violent criminals, as well as gun cases, are now covered under the bail laws. They are bail eligible. The judges have wide discretion to set bail or to hold someone. And I'm putting an emphasis on hold someone. That has to happen. And keeping New Yorkers safe is my number one job, bar none. We've made changes. We have more to do. Working with our local leaders, our police commissioners here, they have a lot of responsibility, but we're here to help them and support them. And we're here just days ago to talk about the strengthening of our red flag laws. I mean, I thank Suffolk County. I commend the chief of police and the sheriff here for what they've done to make sure that Suffolk County is #1 in the state in terms of issuing red flag laws. What does a red flag law do? It says this person is showing signs that they might do harm to themselves or others, and they need to make sure we need to make sure they don't have guns in their possession or access to guns. So thank you, Suffolk County. I need this to be amplified elsewhere at the same way you have here. Thank you, Commissioner Chief. So we've made changes to bail reform, but it's all part of a comprehensive plan. I can't overstate it. It's a comprehensive plan on how we work every single day to keep people safe. So we're not done. My job is not done until I know that every single New Yorker feels safe. But they should feel safer knowing, because of the direct action I just took, that that person who harmed an innocent human being and put him struggling for life in a hospital, that person is off the streets. All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Well, also, one more thing. We've got an important event tonight. All eyes of the world are on Williamsport, Massapequa. I want to wish them luck. I'm a Little League mom. Watched our kids play a lot of baseball. This is a very big deal, so we're so proud of the players, their parents, their families. This is a great occasion, so let's wish them luck and bring it home. Thank you.